What makes murder morally wrong? Is it the fact that you just took someone's life? Is it the intention? Or is it determined by who did the act? For us, we would probably just say that murder is wrong. Full stop. There's no more to say. However, when our government and world leaders take the lives of one or even many people, whether it's through wars or police services or even the neglection of the system, we don't apply the same morality that murder is wrong. This is because the murder done by the government makes it legal. But does that mean that it's moral? I'll be discussing how governments constructed a world where murdering someone, if it's only a person in power, is not just justified, but also normalized. We see this happening when American police force killed a 5-year-old black boy. It was normal, it was justified because they're the ones in power. However, when someone like Luigi Mangione killed the United Healthcare CEO, he's been on trial and The difference between both is that when a person of authority kills someone who is deemed to be not important enough, they don't get consequences. However, when someone important to the system is killed, this is when they actually do something about it. Now, although both seem really unjust, there's a thing that fits outside this box. Agamben introduces in his book Homo sacer. They are people that live outside this law, which means that their life is so devalued that when they are killed or mistreated, no one bats an eye because they're irrelevant. If they're killed, it's not murder, it's necessary. In Nazi Germany, the Jews were considered homo sacer, which is why concentration camps focused on demolishing them and just with the goal of making them extinct, basically, was allowed because they were considered homo sacer. Their life was so devalued to the point where it was normal. This dehumanization reveals a really scary truth that the state in power decides that someone's life does not matter enough to even be considered a murder. Some lives no longer matter. The state's power to determine the worth of someone's life was shown when 5 billionaires were lost in the middle of the ocean in a submarine. Everyone went searching for them, including Canada, who spent $3 billion just looking for them. And according to CBC, they even stated that it's our duty to help them. It justified this expense by saying that it's a duty to protect citizens. Meanwhile, when marginalized groups are escaping literal prosecution and killing, they are not rescued and sometimes even demonized. It goes largely unaddressed because their lives simply do not matter enough, which actually highlights the really sad truth that we are currently living in. Some lives are deemed worthy of living, while others are left to suffer and die without anyone interfering and speaking up for them. People outside the state of protection that are considered out of the law, meaning that basic human rights are not applied to them because they're not recognized, are reduced to bare life, and their death seems invisible. Murder in these cases isn't considered murder, surprise. It's just seen as a policy, it's seen as a legal thing that should happen, but do we really think about why it should happen? Currently, there are still many homo sacers according to Agamben's definition of one, and this includes a marginalized group, the ethnic group of Palestine. Since Palestine is not even recognized in many countries, including Canada, they are therefore not deemed worthy enough of getting help or saved because, well, they're outside the law. So without these legal protections, they are just seen as their lives are just spared and it's as if nothing happened. Their homes are often demolished right now, especially after October 7th, because of the genocide currently happening in Palestine. Over 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered in this, and it's justified. It's not a murder because they're outside the law. Over 16,000 Palestinian children that are innocent and are not involved with anything have also been killed. And this has been normalized because, what? They're outside the law. They are not recognized enough to even be acknowledged worthy of just breathing air. Literally, because all they breathe is the carbon dioxide because of how much bombs are falling, and their homes now are nothing but broken little pieces that have been bombed, while Palestinians are under the rubble of their houses. This is all justified because it's self-defense according to Israel, even though Palestinians have way less sources than they do, because Israel, if you didn't know, literally gets billions of dollars from the USA each year and from other countries, which is what brings it so much power, unlike Palestinians. How's it self-defense against people that can't even defend themselves? In this case, murder becomes acceptable and legal, but does that really make it moral? Throughout history, not just now, we see this with Nazi Germany and current-day USA and Israel use legal laws to justify murder. Studies like the one made by Professor David Fraser on evil law reminds us that legality does not necessarily equal morality. What is legal is not always just. The state always makes sure to make this murder seem acceptable and justified when in reality it is just the taking of innocent lives. When powerful governments control what you think of as murder and make their violence seem acceptable, a system of which killing a certain group of people is legalized because they're outside the law. Therefore, human rights do not apply to them. Murder is wrong, but the state knows how to make exceptions for itself and justifications for why it uses violence and murder. Therefore, murder is not okay unless if you're a person in power or the government. However, we can still protest in ways and ask for a better way to live. We need to recognize the problem in order to fix it, meaning the more people that are aware of this problem, the more likely we might be able to fix this issue and maybe stop homo sacers from being killed. But it might just be a fantasy that I would like to see in this world, but nothing happens unless if we take the first step towards it.